Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we break down the complex world of corporate finance and find out if it's all just a bunch of fancy words to hide the truth about money. Today we're looking at the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston and what they've been up to, and let's just say it involves a lot of money moving around, not unlike a giant financial pizza with lots of slices being sold. Before we dive in, if you enjoy getting these clear, no-nonsense explanations of company filings, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And hey, if you want even more insights and a place to chat about all things finance, join our Discord server, linked right down in the description. So the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston, or FHLB Boston as we'll call them, they're essentially a big bank for other banks. They get their money mostly by selling what they call consolidated obligations. Think of these as bonds or fancy loans that they borrow from the public. What's super important to know is that these loans aren't just the responsibility of FHLB Boston. All 11 federal home loan banks across the country are on the hook for them together. It's like a big group project where if one person messes up, everyone has to help clean it up. This means that even if FHLB Boston didn't directly benefit from a specific loan issued by another FHL bank, they could still be asked to pay it back if that other bank can't. It's a huge shared responsibility. And just to be crystal clear, these loans are backed only by the money the FHL banks have themselves, not by your Uncle Sam or the US government. So they really need to manage their money well. Now, the really interesting part of this filing for us is Schedule A. This is where they list out the specific loan deals they've committed to. They don't include every single small loan, just the ones that matter and are a bit more long term. It's like a snapshot of their big borrowing activities. Let's look at a concrete example. On July 9th, 2025, they're issuing a bond that matures all the way out in July of 2042. That's a commitment for a very long time. It comes with an interest rate of 5.650% and the amount is a cool $25 million. Then on July 10th, we see a couple more. One is a shorter term deal maturing in October of 2025 for a whopping $200 million. This one's interesting because it's a variable rate, meaning the interest it pays can change based on something called SOFR, or the Secured Overnight Financing Rate. Another deal on that same July 10th date is for $25 million maturing in July of 2028. This one's a fixed rate at 4.25. This one's a fixed rate at 4.25%. They also have another variable rate deal for $35 million maturing in October 2025. You might notice that asterisk next to the interest rates for the variable rate loans. That just means it's tied to that SOFR rate we talked about earlier. The coupon PCT column shows you the fixed interest rate they promised to pay on these loans. So you can see they're dealing with interest rates anywhere from over 4% to over 5% on these specific commitments. Now, some of these loans have a call type like optional principal redemption. What this means is that the bank has the option to pay back the loan early on certain dates if it makes financial sense for them. Think of it like having a mortgage with a feature that lets you pay it off sooner if interest rates drop significantly. This can be a smart financial move to save money. When it says the call style is American, it means they can choose to redeem the loan at any point during a specific period, not just on one particular date. It gives them a lot of flexibility. On the other hand, fixed rate loans, like the one with the 4.250 coupon, are more predictable. They know exactly what interest they'll pay and when. And when it says constant under rate subtype, it reinforces that the fixed interest rate won't change throughout the life of that particular loan. Finally, at the end of all this detailed information, we have Sir George Maroon, the Vice President and Treasurer, signing off on everything. This is the official stamp of approval, confirming that all this borrowing and lending activity is legit and properly reported. Now let's zoom out and look at what this all means. The Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston is actively managing its finances by issuing these consolidated obligations. They're borrowing large sums of money for long periods, and they're doing it at interest rates that reflect the current market. The fact that they issue both fixed and variable rate debt shows they're trying to balance predictability with the potential benefits of variable rates if market conditions are favorable. The shared liability across all federal home loan banks is a significant factor. It means that the financial health of each individual bank is crucial for the stability of the entire system. If one bank struggles, it can create ripples for all the others. This structure is designed to ensure that the system as a whole can meet its obligations to investors, but it also means that diversification and sound risk management at the individual bank level are paramount. Looking at the specific loans, we see a mix of very long-term commitments, like that 2042 maturity alongside shorter term ones. This suggests a strategy of managing their funding with a mix of maturities to meet their operational needs and balance their interest rate risk. The optional redemption feature on some of these bonds gives them flexibility to refinance at lower rates if possible, which is a standard and prudent practice in the financial world. What are the risks here? Well, the primary risk for FHLB Boston, and really for all the FHL banks, is the broader economic climate. If interest rates rise sharply, or if there's a downturn in the housing market, which they are closely tied to, it could impact their ability to borrow money or the value of the assets they hold. And because they are jointly and severally liable, a severe problem at another FHL bank could indirectly affect them. The non-QL designation on the $200 million deal maturing in October 2025 tells us that the bank cannot pay this loan back early. They are locked into paying the agreed upon interest rate until maturity. This can be a disadvantage if interest rates fall, but it provides certainty of cost if rates rise. So what's my take on all of this? The Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston seems to be operating as expected for an institution of its type. They are actively borrowing and managing their debt portfolio with a clear structure. The key for them, as for any financial institution, is prudential management. They need to ensure they are not taking on excessive risk, that their lending practices are sound, and that they maintain sufficient capital to weather any economic storms. The system of joint and several liability is an inherent strength in ensuring overall stability, but it also means individual entities must be robust. The trend here is one of consistent financial activity, with the bank continuously issuing debt to fund its operations. There are no glaring red flags in this particular filing, but as always, it's important to keep an eye on their overall financial health and the broader economic environment. The real estate market and interest rate movements are their constant companions, and their ability to navigate those will determine their long-term success. Alright, that's our breakdown of this Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston filing. What are your thoughts on how they're managing their finances and that joint liability structure? Let me know in the comments below. If this deep dive was helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more corporate financial insights, and don't forget to join our Discord community to keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.